Hello everyone, Nishant here from learnqaskill. In today's video, we are going to learn about waterfall model, V model, and spiral model. So let's discuss about waterfall model first. So in waterfall model, we have a multiple phases like requirement analysis, design, coding, testing. Then last one is a deployment and maintenance phase. So in waterfall model, flow of a activity look like a waterfall. That's why this model name as a waterfall model. And it is a sequential type of model which is used for small type of project where the requirements are clearly understood and fixed. Means throughout the development the requirement is not going to change. At the initial phases only the requirement is completely understand and requirements are fixed. In waterfall model, each phase must be completed fully before the next phase begins. Means if we are working on the requirement analysis phase, so requirement analysis phase should be completed fully before the design phase can begin, because in the waterfall model next phase is depends on the previous phase. If we take an example here, in the requirement analysis phase we collect all the requirement related to software and we prepare one document called a BRS document. So that BRS document work as an input to the design phase, and in the design phase we create a design documents like high level design document and low level design document. So those two documents work as an input for the coding phase, and in the coding phase we write a means developer write the coding for the software application, and once the development is complete, that completed application work as an input to the testing phase. So the developer hand over the developed application in the testing phase. Once the testing is completed, the bug-free software we release from the testing phase, and that bug-free software is input for the deployment phase. So then that bug-free software is deployed to the live or production environment. So this is how the waterfall model works. So in here, each phase is dependent on the previous phase. So that is why the previous phase must be completed fully before the next phase is begin. Now let's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of waterfall model. First advantage of waterfall model is the waterfall model is simple, easy to understand and easy to use. Next, in waterfall model, processes, actions and results are very well documented. Means in the waterfall model, documentation is properly maintained. Third, waterfall model works well for smaller projects where requirements are clearly defined and well understood. So waterfall model we can use in that kind of project where the requirements are clearly understood in the beginning only, and the requirement are not going to change throughout the development. Disadvantages of waterfall model. So first disadvantage is the waterfall model is cannot be used for bigger and complex project where the requirements are frequently changing. And second, the waterfall model is not used for the projects where the requirements are high risk of changing. And third, in middle of the project, go back and change requirement are not possible. Means the already development is going on, and throughout the development if any new requirement is coming, so we cannot implement the new requirement in the middle of the development. Next is a V model or V and V model. Shape of this model look like a V, that is why this model name as a V model. In V model, V stands for verification and validation. So what is verification? Whenever we conduct the testing on software related document, that is called verification. And whenever we conduct testing on actual software application, that is called validation. In V model, activity starts from requirement gathering, system design, architecture design, module design, coding. So this phase called as the verification phase. Then after the coding, we have unit testing, integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing. So this phase called as the validation phase. In each phase of the V model, testing is conducted. In the requirement gathering, we have the BRS document. BRS is a business requirement specification document. So on that BRS document, we conduct the testing to check the correctness and completeness of the document. So we conduct the testing in the form of reviews, inspections, and walkthroughs. In the system design, we have the SRS document. On that document as well, we conduct the testing. Next is architecture design. Architecture design is a high level design document. So on that document as well, we conduct the testing. Next have a module design. In the module design as well, we conduct the testing. So all these phases before the coding comes under the verification phase, because before coding we only have the software related documents, we don't have the actual application is ready. So that is why this all the testing activities comes under the verification phase, because we are conducting the testing on software related documents. Then after the coding we have unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. In a requirement gathering phase, we have a BRS document. BRS is a business requirement specification document. So that BRS document work as an input for the acceptance testing. So based on that BRS document, we create the test cases for acceptance testing. Like that, we have a SRS document in system design phase. So on that document, we create the test cases for system testing. And architecture design is a high level design document. So based on high level design document, we create the test cases for integration testing. And then we have a module design. So module design is a low level design document. So low level design document work as an input for unit testing. So based on that, we create the test cases for unit testing. Next, advantages and disadvantages of V model. So let's discuss the advantages first. V model is simple and easy to understand and easy to use. V model is used for small projects where the requirements are clear. This model focuses on verification and validation activities early in the life cycle. By this, we are enhancing the probability of building an error-free and good quality software. V model saves the time as the testing activities starts before the coding. Next are disadvantages. So V model is not suitable for bigger and complex projects, and the V model is not suitable for projects where the requirements are not clear and contains high risk of changing. If any changes happen in middle of the project along with the requirement, development and testing document have to be updated. As in the previous model, like in the waterfall model, we have seen that if in the middle of the development any new requirement is coming, so that new requirement we can't implement in the middle of the development. But in the V model, very small amount of requirement we can implement throughout the development, but along with the requirement document, all the software related documents we have to update, like development and testing document as well we have to update. Next is a spiral model. In spiral model, phases are followed in the iteration, and for each iteration complete SDLC process is followed. Whatever the SDLC process is there, from the requirement gathering to deployment and maintenance phase, all those activities is followed for each iteration in the spiral model. So we follow the spiral model whenever there is a dependency between the modules. In each iteration, we release a new version of software to the customer. And spiral model is best suitable for large and complex projects where the considerable changes are expected. In spiral model, high priority requirements are developed first. In the next iteration, few more requirements are developed and integrate with the existing application. In every new iteration, new version of software is released to the customer. As you can see in the picture, the whole spiral model is divided into four quadrants. First is the determined objectives or planning or requirement analysis phase. Second is the identify and resolve risk. And third is the development and testing. And last one is the evaluation or plan for the next iteration quadrant. In the determined objective phase, all the relevant information related to software is collected from the client, and in the next quadrant, identify and resolve risk quadrant, the risk associated with the project or requirement that is identified and that is resolved using the best possible solution. And end of this quadrant, the prototype is created for the best possible solution. And in the development and testing quadrant, out of that prototype, detailed design is created, then coding starts based on the detailed design, where developers start writing coding for the software application. Then integration. Integration means in the first iteration we already deliver one version of software. So in the second iteration we are integrating whatever the features we are developing into the second iteration. Those features we are integrating with the already developed application. So that is meant by integration. And after that we are conducting the testing. So after the testing is done and the bug free software is released to the customer. So after software is released to the customer, so customer evaluate the application and provides the feedbacks or approval. After that process is done, the planning for the next subsequent phases are initiated into this phase. If we are getting the feedback from the client or the new changes from the client into this phase, so those are implemented into the next iterations. Let's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of spiral model. Spiral model is best suitable for long-term and maintenance type of project and easy to develop the dynamic requirements in the spiral model. Additional functionality or changes can be done at the later stages in the spiral model. Later stages mean in the next iterations. Development is fast and features are added in a symmetric way in a spiral development. So development is fast means in each iteration we release a new version of software to the customer. So customer don't have to wait for the entire software application to be developed. So we develop the first high priority requirement in the first iteration and later we develop the few more requirements and integrate with the existing applications. Last is a continuous or repeated development helps in the risk management. In the spiral model, there is a one quadrant that is identify and resolve risk. So whenever we develop a new requirement, for each iteration, we identify the risk associated with the requirement and we resolve those risks in each iteration. Disadvantages of spiral model. So spiral model is not suitable for the small size of project as it's expensive. Spiral model requires more documentation as compared to other models like we have waterfall model and V model. It's very difficult to maintain all the requirements because continuously we are getting the new requirements. So it's very difficult in the spiral model to maintain all those requirements. Risk analysis is the very important phase. So it requires the expert people